So I got tagged on this post on Mantle by Evan, and it was talking about the history of president cards in the hobby. Being that the election is today, I thought it would be kind of interesting for me to kind of go through this article and kind of do a live debriefing of a history of presidents and the hobby by Tops. Now, first off, before I go through the article, I did glimpse through it. There were some incorrect facts, so I want to talk about that. Uh, I understand vintage non-sports is not the easiest to research, so I will say that out there. And I do like that Tops is starting to try to talk a little bit more about vintage. It's well needed, right? Because it's a big part of the hobby. And yeah, let's go through that on here. But so, first it says, for as long as there have been cards, the hobby has been driven by personalities. No surprise that some of the most famous people in American history, its 46 presidents, occupy the place in the world of collecting. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Presidents have been present in the hobby since its 19th century beginnings. Correct. For recent buffs who are drawn to collecting cards, it's a natural fit. After all, the story of the presidency is less than 250-year-old, the 5046 to chase. Collecting these historical figures is a fun chase. Well, technically there's not 46 people because some presidents have been elected multiple times, right? So that's technically incorrect. Let's keep going through. All right, early tobacco cards of presidents. So wow, they actually put a Between the Axe and the Bravos. I'm shocked. This is a super niche set, right? Super niche Between the Axe and Bravo. You'll see like actors and actresses in here. There are also some sports stars that get quite expensive. Big props for showing this one. Tobacco cards, which date to the 1870s, were quick to capitalize on the fame of political figures, placing them in packs. In 1880, Thomas H. Hall issued cards candidates for the president's election. VP candidate Chester Arthur appeared in the set as a VP, as he would go off to serve as president as James Garfield was assassinated in 1881. Okay. Beloved vintage brand Allen Ginter also got in an act featuring cards of presidents as far as back as 1885, including the second president, John Adams, in a set made for Virginia Brides. Okay, so we're going to talk about this set a little bit later. I don't know why you show John Adams in this set, but that is true. Allen Ginter had this set. There are some dating issues in general with 1800s presidential cards in general. From what I've researched on this N51 set, it is around 1885, not 1885 through 1889. The grading companies are kind of weird with these. I'll let it slide. But from what I've heard, right? And I could be wrong. I could have bad sources, but this right here is going to be your first presidential set issued with tobacco cards. Or issued with tobacco in general, right? These Virginia Bright, Allen, and Ginters. These are impossible, in fact. So if we take a look at the pop report, I'm going to load this up right now. I wonder if this will show this over here. I'll just put like PSA pop. I just want to show you guys like how tough this is. Like it's so tough, right? So PSA pop. And we just jump over here. PSA labels this 1880, which is not 1880. You can see there's only 19 of these that are graded, right? So you have John Adams, Grover Cleveland, Fillmore, Grant, Andrew Jackson. They have all the presidents here, right? But they're all like pop 1. This one has pop 2. And if you go to the sales history, and I know you're supposed to use a pricing app, right? They don't sell that often. There's a lot that sold in the early 2000s, and it wasn't expensive, right? And this is like before non-sports balloon. But you can see this James Monroe has sold twice. In 2022, a 1, which is this one right over here, sold for $260. These are tough. Like, you're not going to find these that often. All right, so let's continue going through the article. All right. Okay, 1889 World Sovereign set, Grover Cleveland. So this showed a bunch of the different leaders around the world in 1889. In fact, this set has the first Lord Stanley card. And if you know who Lord Stanley is, he's the guy the Stanley Cup is named after. Way more expensive than this president over here, which I actually have this card right here of Grover Cleveland. But just a little bit of fun fact for you guys. By 1889, Grover Cleveland was portrayed in a colored portrait as part of the World Sovereign set. It would include Queen Victoria of England and Emperor See, it's such a big miss not talking about Lord Stanley. I know Topps doesn't produce hockey cards, but like, come on, Topps, you gotta talk about the most expensive card in the set. The Lord Stanley is $2,000 in a one. Like, that is such a big miss. I understand from the education side, but man, that's a big miss. And also, where's the other like there's Grover Cleveland playing baseball cards. So check this out. We'll put Grover Cleveland baseball card 1880s. Well, I want to show you guys this. Because there's a whole set of them playing baseball. What's it, Ginter? Here we go. This is the set right here. So I'm going to trading card database, right? And trading card database isn't too bad. Here's another picture of the N51 set. Oh, it's Dukes. I apologize. I should have known Dukes. So check these out, right? It's so easy to talk about this set. You have Grover Cleveland and all these baseball poses over here. And they're interesting. They're pretty expensive too. But there's so many of these out there. I just feel like this would have been such an easy add into this article. Like you can see Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, sliding. Like, this is such a cool set. They could have easily talked about it. This is the presidential possibilities. Another set they could have talked about. Yum Yum. I understand if they don't. It's super niche, but these are tough to find. Here's that one set, the World Sovereigns, right? And I wouldn't talk about pins for cards. But okay, so like that was a miss on there. Not a big deal. All right, so let's continue. 1910 Tobacco Silk featured a twist on the medium. The 1910 S77 featured 24 portraits made on silk, each featuring early American presidents. Few standouts. I mean, it has all the presidents, so I don't know why we put Madison over here. We don't talk about Lincoln. I don't know. Lincoln's the most expensive selling president. Washington's number 2. That's just what I see on pre-war tobacco cards. All right. Presidents get their first set. What? While U.S. presidents have been prevalent tobacco card sets for decades, the first set of trading cards devoted to U.S. presidents appeared 1930. What? I'm really confused because, like, if you go over here, right, and trading card database isn't going to show everything, right? But let's just go George Washington, just to show you how many are on here first. And again, like, I appreciate Topps talking about non-sports, but I just want to show you guys that, like, 2 seconds of research could point out that there's a lot more sets, right? Here's a set right here. This is also a full presidential set. Also a full presidential set. Let's just count, right? And again, not featuring all the sets, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is generals. This has everything. This has everything. This has everything. 6. This has everything. I want to say these have it. I'm just going to double check, right? These have a mixture of everything. These have a mixture of everything. We're already at 6, right? This has only presidents, 7. I'm not going to count the variation. This also has presidents, 8. These Ogdens and players have others, so I'm not going to count those. For 8. I can't remember if this set's only presidents. We'll look that up. Already at 8. So we're at 8 sets at a minimum, right? And let's just double check the set. I just want to check really quick. Oh, another president set, 9. And I want to check this one as well. No, that's not. All right, so we're already at 9 before this. And again, there's stuff that's missing here. I'm not nitpicking. There's a lot of really rare stuff that's not on trading card database. I know collectors that own it. They're usually pop 1, pop 2, even rarer than the N51s, right? We're not covering these right now. But in general, that's 9 sets that took me 2 seconds of research on trading card database. I mean, this was a dumb statement. I'm sorry, Topps. This was really, really bad. Okay, let's see if it talks about the McKinley, right? Or the blue variations. The what? The Cusbacks? So, man, it really bothers me, man. But like, first, we don't talk about the variants, right? There's a blue and an orange. So they don't talk about the variations, and they don't talk about the McKinley or the canceled stamps. The McKinley is like granted a top 5 non-sports card of all time. It's a lot of people call it like the Hannes Wagner of non-sports. How do we not talk about that? Again, just a little research goes a far way when writing these articles for education purposes. Um, and just trying to help out on this side of things. It wasn't the last time food and presidential cards would cross paths. In 1976, by Centennial produced a 40 card. I mean, we skip all the way to 1976. I mean, there's so many other stuff to talk about. You know what's a big miss that I just realized? They didn't even talk about look and sees. There's a lot of presidents in look and sees, right? So let's see how many presidents are in that look and see set. I mean, that's 1952. They could have easily tied in. Topps loves their 1952 sets, right? FDR was card number 1. Woodrow Wilson, 3. I mean, they could easily talk about the first 9 cards, right? Were all presidents. And there's other people in the set that would be presidents too, because they had the 2 people running for president in 52, I want to say, in the set. I could be wrong. But they have Eisenhower in the set. I want to see the other guys in that set too. Who ran against Eisenhower in 1952? Who ran against Eisenhower in 1952? I want to say... I really want to say this guy was in here. I'm like pretty sure this guy's in here. Let me just double check really quick. All right. Easy tie-in. Easy tie-in. All right. So this is the guy. Looks like, oh, the second. Okay. So I want to know the first. Was his dad in that, was it T175s? That's a T175. I know I'm nerding out on cards right now, but look at that. T175. Got it. That's interesting. All right, let's see if the second is in. I don't know why my computer's frozen right now. Oh, look at that. I was right. So you could have easily talked about Eisenhower versus Stevenson. In the 52 look and see. It's a popular set, has a Ruth in there. And we skip all the way to 1976. I know it's not a fully dedicated president set, but Topps made a full section on there and also included 2 presidential candidates. Big miss. All right. Topps goes presidential. The first sets of presidents from Topps was 1956, reissue the 1952 Bowman set. Okay. I get if they don't want to call Bowman first, but also I want to say that Topps had a subsection earlier. Let me just double check. We'll do good old George Washington first. Just want to double check really quick. And I get if you don't want to call this a full set. Scoops doesn't count. What I was going to say is, it shows you there's a lot of cards missing on here. Oh, so maybe they're not. I was thinking that they're in the Topps Magic Photos. I was wrong on that one. All right, I take back what I said. I thought they had a subsection of presidents in Magic Photos. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of Kennedy stuff in the 60s. There's a full set while he was still alive, too. Then you had his space card in 63. All right, let's continue going through. All right. I'm not too familiar with this set. I didn't really collect them. I don't go after posters, so I'm not too familiar with that. Presidential parodies. I feel like Garbage Pail Kids had earlier presidential stuff, but I could be wrong. And that's the end of the article. I feel like they could have talked about modern presidential stuff. Like Topps does actually a decent job with modern stuff. There's some really cool relics in triple threads. I've seen some stuff posted with Alan Ginter recently of John F. Kennedy. So I will give him props for that and putting presidents in checklist. But that's just kind of my overview of this article. It wasn't horrible, but like there's some big glaring mistakes on it, and I just wanted to give my input. And look, I'm not the best expert on presidential cards. There's people that know a lot more than me, but I have a passion for non-sports, and when I see something that's off, I at least try my best to explain what I see. And again, no hate towards Tops. I'm just trying to help correct some issues on this article. I understand how tough it is to research non-sports, right? And we're only talking about US based stuff here, right? There's a lot of foreign issues out there that this didn't even cover. And even the grading companies still mess up foreign issue cards or reject them. I've just had a lot that was rejected by SGC. But regardless, hope you guys kind of like this video. I might make more like this, just kind of doing overview of non-sports articles that are getting released, because I think it's helpful. All right, guys, I will see you in another video.